Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here from the Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center. Beautiful sunny day. Scully and I are outside enjoying some rays, getting some vitamin D. You need it, Scully, come on. So we're looking for anti-sway technology, which is built right inside you, okay? Now I want to put your attention right here to Scully's pelvis. So right here is where the hip socket fits into the pelvis, and you'll notice it's on an angle. So for those of you who tend to keep the back foot square and the front foot open, you may want to rethink that kind of foot positioning at a dress because it's detrimental. It's going to cause more of a sway than anything else. If you look at how we function as human beings on this planet, let me get rid of Scully here for a sec. Sorry, Gur. So if you look at, you take a club and you balance yourself with your club, and you let the leg hang from the hip joint. Many of you, most of you, the foot will hang open. Mine hangs at least 20 degrees open. So that's where my foot positioning should be at a dress. That's why you see my feet toed open. Jack Nicklaus was the same way. And you'll notice now that my right hip is in a beautiful position to swing back behind me. If I toe that in or bring the heel out, then what happens is the hip tends to move back to that heel and it pulls the center of your swing behind the ball, or it pulls it away from the target, hence the sway. So we want that foot toed open so that hip has full freedom to move behind you. If you look at Bubba Watson, Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, Sam Snead, they all move the same way, including Mo Norman. So the video entitled Downswing Weight Shift, proper downswing weight shift. If I am walking and swinging at the same time, you notice how the weight never goes to the outside of my feet, and notice how my hips are clearing freely. So when I'm walking that way, I'm going to be walking, like a duck, el pato. So that's going to be the best way to do it, because as the front foot is open, it allows my whole body to clear out of the way so my arms can swing freely to the target. Much like a martial artist toes the foot open so he can snap a punch to the side. Much like a baseball pitcher toes open so he can throw his pitch with a lot of ease toward the plate, nice velocity. So it's the same thing here. So both feet should be toed open. Allow that right hip to clear. You'll feel the right hip move that way and the left hip move in this direction. So there's a beautiful counterbalancing that happens. And a great way to feel that is with your feet together drill. So go back to my feet together drill, Shawn Clement, and you'll see a feet together one leg update. So when the feet are together, it forces the butt toward the target. The butt counterbalances the arms going into the backswing. So there is a beautiful anti-sway motion right now, because if you sway, you fall. So you get the feel, feet together, and then you toe the feet open as you bring your feet apart, and you'll feel exactly the same motion in the legs and in the knees. Now, as that right hip moves toward the target, that left knee is going to move behind the ball. If your left knee goes forward, well, that cancels the rotation of that right hip going back. The right hip's going to tend to move in a different direction now. If you allow the hips to turn freely, then you're going to allow the knees to turn as well. So when you go feet together, make sure your knees are together. That's really critical. You don't want to be pulling any Elvis Presleys. So knees are swiveling, butt is swiveling, everything's staying on top of the feet. So I counterbalance myself. Now the return of the butt catapults my arms towards the target. Same thing here. Counterbalance myself. The body goes down to get the ground, uses the ground. So when that foot's open, it's using the ground to remove the body out of the way so I can go toward the target. Well, it's the same thing in the backswing. You don't want the resistance in the backswing, because your spine, if we go back to Scully here, see, ball socket system is where the rotation occurs. You can't rotate the facet joints in the spine. So Each vertebrae has a built-in stopper in it to prevent it from twisting. That's God's way of saying, don't mess with this. And the thoracic spine, because they call it thoracic spine, it's attached to the rib cage. The rib cage and this part of the spine is the most rigid part of the spine. It's the one that turns the least. Even though the facet joints show that there's more space, there's less range of motion there because the ribs are attached to those facets or to those vertebrae. So you want rib cage and pelvis turning on top of the hips. So when I'm snapping a punch in martial arts, the first thing that's going to happen is the body goes to get the ground. So I notice I moved a little forward. The body uses the ground to get me out of the way. So rib cage and pelvis gets out of the way. Now I can snap my punch towards my opponent. So I'm doing the same thing in both directions. Out of the way, my left arm has free access for a punch going back. Out of the way, my right arm has free access to a punch going through. So here's how it's going to look. Out of the way, out of the way. So notice the weight stayed on the inside of each arch in both directions. And that was just like exactly where this structure is aimed. So I hope you enjoyed that. And so see how your anatomy functions. See how your leg hangs. I actually had a student, a very rare one, where the leg was hanging straight down and he actually had full range of motion with his hips, with his feet pigeon-toed. Okay, so everybody's different. So have a look at that first. Then you'll know how to put your feet in the ground. Then you'll have the right foot positioning to help you stop swaying. Enjoy.